Hi, this is your old mad dog, and this is another of our joggle training walks. Today we're on our way up to Jubilee Towers and then on beyond there. And when I say we, I mean there's only me and the camera, so I suppose that's a we, isn't it? Because you're out there hopefully looking at some of this. Anyway, so yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to be off to Jubilee Towers, up on the Trough of Bowland there, and then beyond that up onto Grit Fell, somewhere I've never been before, but it's a nice steep climb up from the Jubilee Tower. On the feet this morning I've got the trail shoes. I'm not going to say who they are. I don't get this gear for free, so I'm endorsing nothing until I do. Yeah, so I've got the trail shoes, which is quite a handy footwear for this particular walk. Plenty of road surface, pavements and stuff, until we get a little bit out of Lancaster, which we travel through on our way up to Jubilee Tower. But then when we hit the moor, it's going to be quite, I imagine, sloppy, and this footwear is absolutely ideal for that kind of terrain. Underneath the trail shoes, I've got some sealskin socks, which were bought as a present for my birthday, my recent birthday, and I wouldn't go so far as to spend that sort of money on socks ordinarily myself. I'm not that extravagant, I haven't got that sort of budget, but they were bought for me and I'm wearing them for the first time today. Very comfortable they are too. Oh my god, I've just endorsed sealskin socks. Yeah, but I didn't pay for them, so that's okay. Yeah, so the next stretch is, I'm about just over half a mile in, and the next trail is along the old railway track from Lancaster to Morecambe, and it's now a cycle track, or a walker's track, a dog walker's track, a sort of mugger's hideout, if you like. You know, it's sort of like, it goes off into the sort of the countryside a little bit. It's about 3 miles from here to Lancaster, or 2 3/4 to be more precise with the sign. Yeah, but there's not much to see really along there. You sometimes get horses trotting along and stuff, you know, quite a pleasant walk. Very flat, very straight, obviously, as you'd imagine, being an ex-railway track. So I'm just going to get on now, and I'll get back to you when I'm just about to enter Lancaster. Okay, bye-bye. So I might have slightly exaggerated when I said this cycle track takes me through the countryside. In fact, it just feels like that because there's trees either side. It's like a tree-lined avenue, but as you can see, if you look across here, we're slap bang in the middle of a housing estate on one side and an industrial estate on the other. So it's not really very countrified when you consider the two aspects of it. But for me, in my own world, walking along here, this 3 miles, and we're about a mile from, maybe a mile and a quarter from Lancaster now, I always feel like it's in the country. Likewise, my reference to muggers on this trail, on this particular cycle track, yeah, okay, I always exaggerate everything, don't I? So it has been known that people have been robbed on this cycle track, but it is very, very rare, and I'm saying that to fend off any argument from Lancaster Tourist Board as to the safety of this particular route. It is actually very safe indeed. Oh look, we're in the countryside. Oh dear. Anyway, yeah, talking about tourist boards, my hometown of Morecambe has just lost its tourist information centre. Now, answer on a postcard if you could explain to me why a resort that's hoping to expand and it's looking for more tourists, more visitors to the town, would want to close its tourist information centre. Well, it's beyond me. I mean, you know, I walk a lot in the lakes, and there's little tiny places. They've got their own tourist information centre. You know, every town in small or large in Cumbria seems to have. But we can't manage that for Morecambe, and we're supposed to be getting a world-renowned exhibit venue in the Eden Project North. I think it may have been renamed something else, but it's still got Eden in the title. That's supposed to be coming in 2020 something, 2030. It's a little bit of a movable feast at the moment as to when it's going to actually arrive. But yeah, you would have thought that encouraging tourists and having a tourist information centre for them to gather information as tourists, it would have been quite important, but no, our local council chose to close it, naturally for financial reasons, of course. Okay, so today's walk is a little shorter than the last one. This will be about 22 miles according to plotting on the Ordnance Survey map plotter. I worked out 22 miles, but the climb from the last walk is considerably more. Today I'm looking at climbing, and it's a lovely number, 2,345 feet of climbing on the day for 22 miles walked, which is round about roughly the sort of the steepest descent or the most feet climbed in a day that I'll have to should we call endure on joggle. Maybe I'll enjoy it, maybe I'll endure it, I don't know, but anyway, yeah, 2,345 is the number. It'll be interesting to see when I get back, just to check it, because I've got my Garmin going on hike mode, so it'll give me all the ascent. So far it's telling me I've ascended a total of 14 feet, so quite a way to go yet. But yeah, so that's the plan. It's a slightly shorter walk, but much more climbing to replicate the harder days on our charity walk in May/June. We're now approaching Lancaster. It's just beyond this bridge we can see here. This is a bridge actually I showed on a previous walk, but it was so far away it was like a speck, and when I downloaded it, it was just a speck. I couldn't really see it myself, and I knew where it was. But this is Carlisle Bridge, which was built, well, a crossing was built here to transport railway lines in the 1840s, I'm guessing, and by its very nature of its name, it travelled north to Carlisle and beyond. And before that, of course, there was no railway to Scotland on the north-west coast line. So this was it, really. This is the railway stopped the other side of the river until the bridge was built. As I say, this has been rebuilt. You can see it looks a little bit more modern than a Victorian structure. And this is the river here. Again, it's now low tide. Unlike the last walk when it's high tide, I couldn't get to Sunderland Point if you're watching that vid. But this is very low tide. I'd definitely be able to get to Sunderland Point today. That would not be crossing the road. And down there somewhere was a Roman ford, so they could cross it at low tide even without a bridge, but they probably built a bridge as well. So again, I don't know what you can see through those trees, but Parish Church just sticking up there at maybe in view, even with this non-zooming in GoPro. So here we are now. We're making good time. My Garmin watch tells me I've now done 3.9 miles, and I've climbed 28 feet. So yeah, so I'm looking at that ascent. I've got to get to 2,345. Again, still a long way to go on the climb. I'm carrying a heavier bag than previous walks. I thought that might be an idea, also because it's a lovely day, beautiful day today, but there is rain forecast, and I'm going to be up on a moor that will be pretty bleak up there if the rain comes in. I've got a new pair of waterproof trousers, another present, thank you very much Lady Di for that, and I've got a waterproof jacket, of course I have, because you can never be too careful, even on a walk like this, which is very, I mean, part rural, yes, we do go up on a moor, but as you can see now, we're going to be walking through a small but bustling city of Lancaster, and this is to replicate, to be honest, a lot of the walking I'll be doing on Joggle will take us through towns and cities. We've tried to cut out the bigger cities because it can be complicated, but that it's unavoidable to not to be able to go through some of the towns. So I wanted to get a feel of that, walking through I know that sounds ridiculous even as I say it. What's it like to walk through a town like we do it all the time? But just as part of a day's walk, I just want to get a feel for that. And I didn't have to travel too far to be able to map this route out up to Jubilee Tower and beyond, onto Gritfell. So here we are now, coming down towards the Millennium Bridge, which is just there in the little distance there, which is a footbridge over the river, and it sort of follows the line of a bridge, a medieval bridge that was once there. And in fact, that medieval bridge, the pillars of which supported it, were still there in the 19th century. I think even in the early 19th century. And there we have the skyline of Lancaster. Again, in the distance, can you see it? It's a lot closer now than that little pimple I was trying to describe on the last vlog. Now on the skyline right in front here is Williamson's Memorial, or as some people would like to call it, or in fact do call it, it's up to them, the Taj Mahal of the North. Yeah. not really. It's got a dome-ish structure, but I think we'll leave the real Taj Mahal to the tourists. Yeah, what else can we see? We can't see the castle quite from here. It's just behind the parish church. But the Millennium footbridge there is quite clear now. All these buildings across the way there, these are all dockside. This is where the quays were, the big ships that I was mentioning on a previous vlog, the wooden sailing ships. Would tie up alongside that quay until the boats became too big, the river became too silted, and Liverpool became too prominent in the North Atlantic trade, and it basically died its death. But the buildings still remain, Georgian buildings there. There would have been warehouses, the custom house there, which is now the Maritime Museum. Very nice. Let me watch where I'm going because I'm going to knock people over here. So here we are crossing the Lune now on this wonderful bridge. It partially reminds me of the Millennium Bridge that crosses the Tyne at Newcastle. There's a lot fancier. It's got a sort of a winking eye rotation that allows ships to pass as it sort of lifts itself. This is stationary. This can't lift itself because there's no ships going to be coming underneath it. You might get the odd canoeist travel down, but nothing much more than that. But yeah, I don't know whether it's the railings or what. It just gives me that feel of that wonderful bridge at Newcastle. We're in the Dalton Square now, which is the main piazza, the main plaza of Lancaster. It's a small city if you don't know it, but chocker full of history and interesting facts. This is the town hall ahead of us. It replaced a previous town hall, which is now the museum. In the market square, another but smaller piazza. And we're going to take a left here, which will very swiftly take us out of the city centre here. and in that last 4 minutes I've doubled my my climb for the day now to a massive 70 feet, but that's going to all change very shortly. You might be able to see ahead we start to climb now, and there are some downs, but they're mostly up from here on in, so that that ascent is going to start to rising steeply. Don't excuse the pun. Mentioned earlier on the skyline, I'm sure I'll call it Williamson's Memorial. It's an error I always seem to make. It's one of those, I don't know whether other people have the same thing, but you know it's wrong, and yet you still say it's wrong. You still say the wrong thing. This is actually Williamson's Park here. It's a park in 1880, Williamson. The memorial is Ashton Memorial, of course, that was built for Lord Ashton's wife. So again, a bit of synergy there with the Taj Mahal, because I believe that was also built for a wife. Maybe that's why he did it, but just made a smaller job of it. As lovely as it is, the park is fantastic, but we're not going in there. We're going to carry on now. We've now climbed just shy of 300 feet now. Whoa, now we're moving. Yeah, so sorry for the error, but I keep making that same mistake. It's Ashton Memorial, Williamson's Park. Okay, have you got that, Gary? Okay. So this is Scotforth, which is a sort of rural part of comes under Lancaster City Council authority. But you can see what a lovely day it is today. As I said earlier, we are expecting rain, but so far not too many signs of it, so fingers crossed it stays a bit like this for longer. So yeah, the ascent continues, but I'm feeling good. I'm just an hour and 3/4 in, just about. These lovely spring flowers out here. I've got one in my hat. Old waterworks there. It's probably been converted long ago to posh residential. Yeah, looks like it. And yeah, it's about an hour and 3/4 in, and about 25% of the walk done. But the hardest part's to come. As you can see, we're climbing, so gonna get my head down now and get on with that. I wanted to just show you this little, for an example. One of the biggest worries or concerns on the walk that we're embarking on in June, on June the 18th, sorry, June the 18th, May the 18th, from John O Groats, is lots of road walking. Probably 90% of it will be on the road. And a lot of that is country lanes like this. One of the reasons, again, I've picked this particular route. I've got no footpath here, and I've got cars approaching me. Here comes one now. Now, they need to see me, and I need to avoid them. That's how it works. And when you've got miles and miles of this, you've got to concentrate continually. Now, not too bad on an open space like this. I'm clearly seen. I've got a yellow fluorescent top on. I've actually, yesterday I bought what I can only describe as a traffic cop's coat. You can picture that with the fluorescent bands and the yellow coat and all of that, just to make myself seen in gloomy and wet weather. I mean, we haven't got that today, so I'm not wearing the coat. I thought we might be, and I thought I might be wearing it, but the weather's good, fine. So I'm wearing this yellow top so I can be seen. Now, here's the tricky bit. They can see me clearly, but when we come to the bends, they can hardly see what's coming around the bend themselves. So what they tend to do is they tuck in as they come around, particularly if they're not used to the area, they've not, the road's not familiar to them, they'll tuck right in, and that's just the space that I'm occupying. So when you consider these long distance walks, or any walk that's got this sort of jeopardy, you have to consider very carefully the traffic situation and just how you're going to avoid not being squished. If we look up there, if we can see that right on the, well, you should be able to see it's a pretty great big fell. That's where we're going up to, at the top of there. We're making a descent down now off the climb we made earlier, and then we'll start a very, very steep ascent all the way up to Jubilee Tower, and then onward up to Millgrit, and that's it at the top up there, in the distance on the horizon. So here we come. This is exactly what I was talking about here, this little bend here. Could be treacherous, you've got to keep your wits about you. And there's a car just whizzing round in front of me, as I was saying, keep your wits about you at all times. Safety information, bulletin over. District, again, part of Lancaster authority area, but clearly very rural, lots of farmland, and not so much in the way of sheep as yet, but I'm sure we'll see. So one or two on the top of them hills there, but plenty more we'll see. Now this is a sharp climb. This is it's going to break the back of my climb for the day when I get to the top of here. Yeah, it looks quite savage actually. So having made the descent down that hill there, you can see a car coming down, maybe you can't, but it was quite a long way down. We're in the trough of the valley here, and so what goes down must go up. That's all right, is it? Anyway, that's what we're going to be doing. And again, we can just see the final destination of Gritfell right on the top there on that moor. Lovely. I just noticed this sign here, Clitheroe Trough of Bowland, and it's pointing this way down this road here. Now I know that to be completely wrong. Some wags turn that sign. It should point ahead. It should point this way. Anybody coming to this junction, this crossroads here, might be, particularly if they're coming up from Lancaster, up this hill here, they might see that sign there and think, oh, I'll turn a left here. How many people have done that, I wonder? Not realising if they weren't local or knew the area. Now we know that it's wrong, A, because I've travelled this route many times, mostly by car, but also because the actual sign here says Clitheroe Trough of Bowland this way, which is correct. So as I say, some smart aleck has sent people on the wrong route. I'm now on, as you can see, on the buggy bit. Ooh. So these trail shoes are now going to get a bit of a test out on non-tarmac surface. It's reasonably firm at the moment. It's underfoot, it's not too bad. But we've got this climb now up onto Gritfell, which I have never done before. It looks like it's straightforward, the navigation. I think you just follow this fence. The path isn't that clear, but I don't think it needs to be. Yeah, just looking back, that's the top of Jubilee Tower. We're going to come back to that when I finish this bit, and have a couple of words to say about the surrounding district, because the view from there is absolutely fantastic, the panoramic view. But, and it's a big but, a lot of the days it's quite misty, and today could be one of those days. But so far, no rain, no black clouds in the sky, all's good. Okay, for now, bye-bye. Becoming a lot boggier underfoot. These trail shoes are, I'll just say that again, these trail shoes man enough to cope with it so far, no problems there, but it is much softer, and I can see in the distance you can't, because as I always repeat, I can't zoom in with this camera on my head, but I can see a cairn on the skyline. I presume it's a cairn. Looks like one, and I think that's where we're heading for. That's our turnaround point, our halfway point on today's walk on Grit Fell. Nobody else about at all, which is, you know, I like the company of a walk. I like to see people out enjoying themselves up in the lakes and in the dales, but you know, sometimes it's just nice to be on your Todd, just on your lonesome. Little trot up here. Get up this little bit here. That's it. There we go. Yeah, it's probably got a mile away, which should be about right. It'll take me up to about 11 miles for the day. Well, as you can guess from the deep breathing, the climb's been, yeah, that last little bit as well. We're nearly there now. I can see the cairn. We're on a bit of a boulder field here, so I think we're going to top out shortly. Let's just see if I can walk and breathe and speak. Yeah, it looks like the cairn there, quite a good size. Oh yeah, like a little stone hut. I'll probably get there and it is a stone hut, what we call a bothy, a little shepherd's hut. So the landscape has changed here with all these rocks. And this damp underfoot as it was further back there, very damp. But of course this will be a river stream, a rivulet when the rain's heavy. Ooh. Oh, I'm on the wrong side of the fence. Oh, brilliant. And at that moment the head camera battery chose to pack in at disgust at the fact that I'm on the wrong side of the fence. Oh dear. So I'll have to change the battery. Although I could use this hand battery. Maybe I'll just go on a little further. I can see a stile up there. Maybe that'll put me across to the side of the fence. I can touch the cairn, which it clearly is. Nobody lives in that, unless it's a few rats or something. I make my way back down. I think it might be drier going back down there. I can tell by the vegetation it looks dry on the right of this fence than the left where I came up. Okay, so yeah, just shy of 11 miles and 1,892 feet of climbing so far. So I'm pleased with that. It's everything I expected and more besides, because there's no rain. I said you could get a good view from Jubilee Tower. Clearly the view from here is going to be even better, but it's not. It's murky. Even I can't see, which is I've got not the best of eyesight. I can see better in the distance than this GoPro can, and I can just about make out on the skyline Heysham Power Station, but it'll be nothing to you. Okay, so I'm going to go and check out that stile, see if it gets me over the fence. And so yeah, I got over the stile, and I'm on the right side of the fence now to be able to officially touch the cairn. It doesn't count unless you touch the cairn. Here's me touching the cairn to say that here I am on the summit of Grit Fell. I wonder if all this rock is gritstone. Where's a geologist when you need one? Oh well. We're going to make our way back down. When I say we, I mean you and I and this here camera. I'm going to go back down to the Jubilee Tower, where I have one tale to tell before I set off back down towards Lancaster. Okay, see you there. So I'm back at the Jubilee Tower car park here, and oops, nearly went there. It's deserted, surprisingly. One car, nobody on the tower. Usually, even for early spring, which it is, it's sort of getting in towards sort of late March. But yeah, normally this would be packed with people because the view is so fantastic up here, and people know of it. They come up. It's not far from the local towns. Clitheroe's just down the way there. Obviously Lancaster we've come through. A bit further beyond that, obviously you've got Blackburn and Preston and places. But yeah, it's normally really busy. I'm surprised it is so deserted. Now here's the dark clouds. Is this the rain on its way that was promised? It just snuck up on me there. I just didn't even see it. It's like it's there. Anyway, we've reached the point now where we're on our way back. But before we do, let's just have a little wander over to the tower itself. Now, as a kid, Dad had come up here in the car. We would come up after work. He liked to drive up here quite often, actually. We'd park up in that little car park all those years ago. I'd climb up there and pretend that I was fighting with on the side of Robin Hood against the show for Nottingham's men. You know, it would all be going off. But of course, the truth is that the tower isn't actually that old. It's oops, get my face in there. It was actually built for the Jubilee, hence Jubilee Tower, of Queen Victoria. And it says somewhere around about here. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, Queen Victoria's Jubilee. And therefore it's only about 125 years old, thereabouts. But as kids, you like to believe the you know, the romance of fighting your way up the stairway here. Me and my friend Ian. Oh, come on, man. Oh. Certainly now I sort of think somebody went to quite a bit of trouble to build this. You know, a bit of bother. And yet I don't know why they bothered. Because the view's not much that better than it is from the road. But I suppose somebody got some kudos out of building it for the people back in those days. They like to build monuments to everything. So anyway, tell you a little story. 22 years ago, almost to the day, this tower was the scene of an hilarious episode of one of the most memorable days of my life. Don't ask how or why, it's too long a story to explain, but I'd arranged an excursion on a coach. I was going to be the courier, so I'd planned out the route, and I did all the sort of and on the left and on the right, and here's the so on and so forth, and I planned the route to come from Blackpool round into Morecambe, down into Heysham village, back round into Lancaster, see the butterfly in at Williamson's park there, the butterfly house, and taste nettle beer at Heysham village, and just sort of basically take people on a little trip round places that I knew from my youth. The coach, my charges were all pensioners from Aberdeen, and the driver was a Scotsman as well, from Aberdeen, and he sort of got in touch with me and said, could you put this together, because I've got to I've got to take these people out on a trip. It's part of the deal. They've paid for a week in Blackpool in a hotel, but one of the days has got to be an excursion, and I don't know where to take them. So I said, well, okay, well, fine, I'll do that. We can come to some arrangement financially about that. and that's what happened. Anyway, so we're on our way back, and I thought, well, rather than go the sort of boring A6 or, you know, even more boring motorway, we'll come up over the back road and drop down through the Trough of Bowland, this road that follows, well, and it goes off there, Dunster Bridge and places, and then we'll pop down and we'll end up coming out near Preston and then perhaps back on the motorway there to finish off. So we pull in here. Now, one thing I'd noticed was, and my pensions have been excitable all day, to be honest. They had been funny, but that's for another time. But this particular episode, we pulled in here, and the driver was wearing a kilt. Of course he was, he's a Scottish driver, that's what he was wearing. And so when we pulled in, I said, everybody, right, you can all come off now, stretch your legs, get off the coach. And none of them would. Not a single soul disembarked the coach. But the driver was quite curious about the tower. He had to come up the tower, and so he did. I went up first, he followed behind, and within moments of reaching the top of the tower here, he lifted his kilt. He's a bit taller than me, so he could probably do it more easily, and he basically wasn't wearing anything underneath. The way that a true Scotsman, I believe, should wear the kilt, or that's what they tell you. And he wasn't. He was bare-arsed, let's face it, that's what he was. And he was mooning the passengers on the coach. They were howling, they were whooping. None of them were getting off the coach. The door was open, they could all cheering and shouting. It was very funny as he showed his bare bum. But it was only then that I looked down and just out of line of sight of our driver were two young women, probably in their early 20s, possibly with backpacks, possibly student from the local university, and they were looking up at this this guy's derriere whittling about, Braveheart styley. I thought, oh, we're in trouble here, you know, basically he's exposing himself to young women now. But they just howled. They took it in the good sports. They took it in good humour, and they laughed and laughed, and it was just amazing. And I said to him, well, I'm bloody glad that I went up before you when we climbed those steps. Anyway, he came down the tower, got back in the coach, and off we went. And then that the day took another turn then and became absolutely ridiculous, but that is for another time. Okay, well, I've done my bit now. I've climbed to the top of Gritfell. We've done nearly 12.5 miles, so I've got about another 10 when I get back into home. Nearly 2,000 feet of climbing. We'll do the rest on the way back. There's some climb still to come, and we're at 4.5 hours since we set off, so there's not much more to say, I think. So it probably is by the by. Okay, so I'm making my way back towards Lancaster now. There was something that popped up here that I thought was worthy of a little bit of a comment. The church here just in front of me is Quermore Chapel, and it's in this area, and in fact in that field that I spent my first night under canvas, aged probably 10, maybe just 11, and it was the most horrific experience. We'd set up camp here in that sort of lower area, I seem to remember. It's funny how it's coming back to me, even the smell of it, because the tent that I was in was an old canvas bell tent. I think it was some sort of military, ex-military use. But anyway, yeah, we dug the latrines quite close to where the bell tent was that I was sharing with a couple of others, and we had little canvas camp beds, very rudimentary. And I took ill. We came on the Saturday. We were coming for a week from our local Methodist church, Heysham Methodist, and it was like the youth section, and we had some older people that were managing us, obviously, but they were quite young as well. They're probably only in their 20s, and we managed to get to in the chapel on the Sunday. I remember this. I wasn't feeling well, but it was okay. I was enjoying the fact we're in a new place of worship. back then I was very devout religious person. So yeah, I was quite pleased to be in the chapel, but the following day, on the Monday, I took really ill. I don't know, the smell of the latrines, which even now I can probably just about remember the smell of. It was warm as well, very hot and humid, and I was put to rest on my camp bed, which wasn't very comfortable. And I remember for 2 days, obviously no mobile phones, no ringing back to parents saying, you know, your son's not well. You just sort of put up with it. And I was sort of laying on that camp bed. They brought me, well, I can't remember now how they fed me, but I know I didn't leave that bell tent for the 2 days. Eventually, anyway, someone had the presence of mind to find a phone, ring my parents, and they came over and collected me, which is quite embarrassing to be taken home from camp. But I remember it being sort of one of the lowest points in my young life. Just that feeling of helplessness and just laying there feeling awful. Yeah, sort of come back to me, that field. And yet I passed it on the way up without a second thought, and then it was going back down. I noticed the chapel and thought, oh, of course, the chapel was opposite the field where we camped. Yeah. Okay, so another childhood memory bites the dust, but there we go. Bye for now. So almost home now. 20, just shy of 22 miles. The plotters predicted 22. It's not quite that, but amazingly, it.
This way.
Hello, dog.
She's so nosy.
Oh, it's okay. I'm just filming.
You're on camera, Billy.
Yeah. Billy's on camera. Hey, Bill. Yeah. Good boy. Good boy.
Thank you. Come on.
Oh, we have this sniff.
This way. No.
Cash out, I've still got some money anyway.
No, this way.
Yeah, I think it's 7 quid for a fiver.
Billy wants to stay on camera.
Posing. Are you
Yeah.
posing? Eh?
Yeah. You're on telly. Give us a shout. Give us a shout out. Bill.
Good girl. Come on.
Yeah, so start again. Yeah, the OS predicted 22 miles we'd walk today, but just shy of that, just over 21 and a half. But he also predicted 2,345 feet of climbing, and amazingly, that's exactly what we've reached. And I thought, I'm not quite sure he's done that, because there's so many sort of different ways I could have slightly gone to make a difference, but it's absolutely spot on to the foot. I find that gobsmacking. Anyway, so that's all done for today. It's another day in the bag for the joggle training. Same again tomorrow. Got to get out tomorrow. Looking at longer walk tomorrow, probably more like 26, 27 miles. Not as much climbing. Going to walk from here to Walton Crag. I haven't plotted it, I know the way, but I'm just guessing it's going to be around about the 27 mile mark, probably about 1,400 feet of climbing. So that's my project for tomorrow. Just a couple of bits and pieces. I mentioned earlier about the possibilities of being mugged on the cycle track. Well, I have kind of qualified that, so that's a very rare occasion and not something that you need to worry about if you're going that way. But I was walking back along there, and there was 4 or 5 young men coming towards me. I couldn't tell exactly how many. I had my head down pretty much, sort of power walking my way back along the cycle track. But I sort of looked up, and they were heading towards me. And now, if they'd been playing Beethoven, I might have been slightly concerned, thinking back to Clockwork Orange, to be honest. But they weren't. These youths were playing classical music. I think it was Mahler. I'm pretty sure it was Mahler, actually. And they just smiled and waved as they went by. It's like, oh, right, okay. Yeah, not a bunch of little droogies. And sort of finally, I mentioned earlier that I was given these wonderful socks by my friend Steph and Anonymous, and for my birthday recently. First time I've tried them on, absolutely fabulous, really comfortable still after almost 22 miles. Can't feel a thing in my feet. I did mention this, called sealskin, like the Antarctic seabird, that's also a biscuit. That they're not actually made of sealskin. I'm guessing, I'm hoping. Anyway, I'm pretty sure they're not. So that's it. That is it until tomorrow. I may do some more work on the camera tomorrow, I might just not bother and just go for the walk. Who knows how the mood will take me, but I know the mood right now is taking me into my local cricket club, and I think I've got a well-deserved pint on the way. So bye-bye.